Hey gang, it's Tristan66. Congrats to Kong on 3,000 subs. You deserve it.
Hey, thanks Tristan, and hello everyone, it's Kong with a look at how I'm building my Transcender. If you've watched my previous videos in this short series, you know that this isn't a traditional how to build guide. I'm not going to go into detail about all the options you have for building him. That's not really my style. Some people love to spend a ton of time theory crafting and optimizing and breaking down all your options, and that's cool, but some people just want to have a quick peek and make sure they're on the right track. So I'm just going to go over the decisions I made when setting up my own Super Giz. If you like them, awesome, go ahead and like this video. If not, also awesome, let me know in the comments and we'll have a chat about it. So from the top, first skills. So first, his 3-cost skill, Reversal of Fate, will pretty much always be on. It has his passives that let him melee and get a shield if he drops to half health, and it also has his signature hit point swap and act again. It's pretty core to his gimmick. Without this, he's basically just a normal, underwhelming AoE unit. And his other skills really depend on what I need to get out of him. Remember that he doesn't even start building his talent stacks unless he's actively using skills, so I'll often need Strengthen to help get him prepped for combat. The cooldown is only 1, he can strengthen himself, and that also builds up his talent. Then what I'm going to want to do is take an actual functional skill to combo with. The most likely candidates for that are going to be Disintegrate for big burst damage, and Soul Judgment to pull enemies out of position, as long as you're not facing someone like Hilda. So next up we have his class. As you can see, you can ignore his stats because I haven't done any enchanting on him yet. I'm saving that for my stream. But his options are Holy class and Demon class. All of his relevant stats are actually higher in Demon class. As usual, that's normal. But there are a lot of Holy units out there who can instantly vaporize him if he's a demon, so Holy is generally the safer or more balanced choice. His Heart Bonds for Holy tend to be more focused on single target, whereas his Demon Heart Bonds are more focused on AoE, so you can see his first Heart Bond for Demon class is he takes less AoE damage, and then his second bond, when he's Demon class, he deals more AoE damage. And again, the Holy one is more when forced into combat, so just when he's attacking or getting attacked. So that kind of what you're going to want to choose there depends a little bit on what you're using him for, but in my opinion, the more important thing than those bonds is if he's going to be instantly obliterated by a number of Holy units that he's facing. So next up we have his equipment, and before I get into my actual equipment choices, which you can see kind of tentative choices here already, I do want to touch on his enchants. So there are a lot of ways to enchant him, partly because it'll depend on playstyle and how I want to use him, but also partly because his kit is so unfocused, so there's no one clear winner. For example, Breeze is actually a very common choice on him. If I'm planning to play a slower tank push style box and don't really need him to jump into a rush, I can opt for a slower enchant. Full Moon could help shore up his offensively low offensive stats. Some people may want to use Clock and just go all in trying to get Disintegrate back over and over again, but that's a lot of eggs in one basket, since he's usually not going to be running a full kit of clockable skills. He could, but he's not usually going to be doing that. Thorns is actually a bit of a mixed bag because it will help increase his bulk and his survivability, but it also counter damages his attacker, which may be a unit you want to use your hit point swap on. And more bulk might mean you're surviving enemy AoEs with more hit points, meaning you're not swapping your enemy down as much as you could if you just barely survive their attacks. For me, since I'm planning on testing him initially in a slower tank push box, I am going to go with Thorns first. with the goal of building his int and his bulk up as much as possible, particularly his int. His int is just so low. Again, as I mentioned, I haven't done any work on enchanting him, and I don't have his Ancient Beckoning Mastery Stones done yet, so these stats are low anyway. But I'm going to want to crank this int as high as possible to make up for his shortcomings there, and also his bulk as well. So for his weapon, I'm going to try him out with Queen's Scepter. It has more base hit points, and it gives a lot of int if you're above 80% hit points. Now, my thinking is, thanks to my 3C swap, I should be able to guarantee that he's above 80% when I need him, like when I'm ready to launch his attack. Red Moon's also another good option for him since it provides hit points and int. And Gift of Eternal Life could be another option to give him some additional team utility, but you are starting to sacrifice your int at that point, so that's more of a choice that you would make, again, like I mentioned, for a specific build or for a specific purpose. For his armor, Nebulous Robe and Tenyo's Robe are both solid choices since they give hit points. I'm going with Tenyo's because I'm going to be expecting him to get hit to soften up his own hit points, so being able to proc a lucky debuff or buff strip is a nice little bonus. If you're mainly using him to run in and try to attack enemies, then the Nebulous Robe might be a nice one to help him take less counter damage. For his headgear, it's really hard to argue against Tenyo's headdress. Knowing Zilong, his unique equipment will be headgear since they love trying to get people away from those OP random breeze procs. Maybe it'll be this big floating thing around his head, that would be fun. The Transcender's Halo. Obviously, he has lots of options for accessories. Star Earring is a tempting choice because it gives hit points and int, and it gives him bulk against assassins. Surviving an assassin's attack would put you in a great position to hit point swap, but I have a feeling any good assassin is just going to kill him outright, so that's kind of a wasted pick. Dimensional Jewel is another option that has good stats, but it shares Clock's problem. It's probably only benefiting one of your skills. Holy Ring and Swordsmith's Metal are also tempting options to help prevent him from being disabled by the AoEs he's expected to eat up. But since I'm running Thorns on him, I figure I might as well double down with Dropnir and see what happens. This is one I may actually change up if I do some testing and it doesn't work out, like if I need more hit points, flat hit points, or if he's just not reflecting enough to really make an impact. So next up we have Soldiers, and it's really hard to go wrong with Sorceresses. They keep him flying, and they're a solid DPS choice. For my Reflective build, I'll probably want to swap to Crystal Warlocks or Crystal Molders, depending on whether I'm facing primarily physical or magical threats. And finally, the last thing I like to take a look at is Appearance. Now, the Transcender has a totally righteous Echo of Light skin, but unfortunately, he's also one of those characters whose base skin is also fantastic, so it's not a clear upgrade. In fact, the Echo skin also covers up more of those abs, which is madness. So, yeah, overall, that's how I'm planning to set up my Transcender. Obviously, I'm going to do some work enchanting him and get his class masteries all set up. And as I've mentioned, this build is highly contingent on the playstyle of the rest of my box. So if I do end up changing some things up on that front and steering away from a slower tank push box, then I may have to change his enchants to something more dynamic. But I won't really know that until the next Apex season progresses a little and I get a chance to play with him a little bit more. So hopefully this is helpful for someone who just wants to duck in and take a quick look at what's going on and make sure they have a rough rundown of what to set aside for a basic Transcender. I do have to remind you all, yet again, that this character is simply not great. He's been a channel meme for me for several months, so I'm building him mostly out of fanboyish devotion, but he's not going to be a strong general purpose unit for most players. If you have any questions about anything I didn't mention, or if you have a wildly different idea or opinion about how to build him, then definitely leave a comment. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful enough to warrant a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Happy Languissing, everyone.
者計画は本来ギザロフのこの世界に対する